Welcome everyone to SEO Office Hours. My name is Michael Chidzey. I'm an SEO here at Good Signals, and part of what we do along with special guests are these office hour sessions where people can jump in and ask their questions around their website and web search. By the way, nobody here is in the hot seat and we might not know all the answers, but multiple heads thinking about a problem should help. We've had a bunch of questions submitted already, as you can see, which we'll go through. But if there is anybody here live on the call who would like to ask any questions, please feel free to flag yourself in the chat functionality, which will be monitored. Also, there's usually a bunch of other amazing SEOs live on the call that share their ideas, experiences, and perspectives. Please feel free to do that. I personally think that's one of the best things about office hours, isn't just hearing from the four of us, but hearing from everybody else as well. So thank you very much. And I just want to say a big thank you to Jordan for hosting last week. He did such an amazing job, and that was personally one of my favorite episodes so far. So thank you so much. And like always, with me today is Juliana Turnbull, also known as SEO Joe Blogs. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello. I'm back in the co-host seat today. Thank you, Jordan, for working with us last week when Mike was out of office. So today is our 69th episode. Great to see so many of you. Thank you, Steve, John, Emma, David, Mark, Jordan, Deepak, Ikra, Urmar, Jack, Uzair, and Boran, Yoris, Sai, Albert, Sharia, and Walid for joining us. I think we've got quite a wide international office hours today. We've got at least Spain, Pakistan, UK. I think we've also got India and potentially, just checking, and Germany as well. But if there's any other countries that you're dialing in from, please drop it in the chat. As Mike said, I'm Juliana Turnbull, or SEO Joe Blogs. I organize search events. I have another one called Search Barcelona happening at the end of this month. And I'm also an awards judge. We'll be judging the Search Engine Land Awards, and I'll share that link later on. I wanted to welcome our guests, special guests, to our 69th episode today. We have Ksenia and we have Shelley. Morning. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Joe. It's nice to be here. Good to see you.
Morning, everyone. Excited to be here as well.
So thank you both for coming on the show today. Ksenia is an SEO team lead at ADLs. She's an SEO consultant and strategist. She helps companies generate MQLs and paid customers through organic search. She has more than 10 years experience working as in-house manager, SEO manager. She's also worked on different high traffic websites, and she's launched new domains from scratch. She does all elements of SEO, does the research, strategic development, as well as the implementation and performance. Outside of her day-to-day, you are a trainer, and you've also spoken at many events such as Said, and you've hosted SEO meetups to bring the local community together. So when did you start actually doing some of those meetups? That's great to get the community together, Ksenia.
Yeah, I started doing them in 2021 in Kiev. Then there was a sort of a break for the last year, but the next event will be in early June this year in Kiev again. So that's going to be offline, and I'm really looking forward to host it.
Okay, great. Please do share the link to that in the chat, and I'll also share Ksenia's LinkedIn profile with everyone. And welcome, Shelley. Shelley, welcome back to SEO Office Hours. You are a digital consultant. You have more than 25 years experience working in creatives, marketing, and tech. And for the last 15 years, you've been published extensively across industry publications, and you've spoken at many events online and in person. You work with Search Engine Journal as their SEO content strategist, and also as a consultant for brands in the UK and US. And if you haven't noticed, Shelley is also very busy producing the Pioneers and the IMHO, in my humble opinion, which is a YouTube channel with influential people in SEO. And I think people should be checking out Monday's episode. I don't know if you can give us a sneak peek, but maybe you can share with us the link to your episode, because something will be coming out on Monday.
I got a bit of an exclusive interview. I spoke to Kevin Indig last week. He is releasing some new data. He's just done a huge study on AIO usability. I don't think anybody's actually done this study before. So he's about to release some new data I got to speak to him, and I think I've got the only interview with him about this. He's publishing on Monday, I think 9 a.m. ET, and I'll be publishing my IMHO at the same time as well, where he goes into a little bit more detail about his research. So I'm really excited about that. Kevin's amazing. It was a great interview. He's a fantastic person. So yeah, check out his post and IMHO on Monday.
Thank you, Shelley. Yeah, if you want to share your link so people can sign up to your YouTube channel, please do. Great. It's fantastic to see so many people that are doing a lot of, I would say, community events and work outside of their regular day job. So I'm just going to put the links to Shelley and also to Ksenia in the chat, and feel free to connect with them on LinkedIn. So we've got loads of questions for today. So I think we'll pass over to Mike.
Great. Okay, let's get straight into it. Question number 1. I wonder if I can ask your advice on something. I've picked up a client, which is a small law firm specializing in divorce and family law. As well as doing content and digital PR for them, I'm also handling basic on-page and technical SEO, and also managing their website. I'm keen to provide this client with a great monthly or bi-monthly performance report, summarizing the best of Google Search Console and GA4 numbers, and also any work done or projects planned. I've been looking online for some example templates for reports of this type, but everything I find seems to just cover SEO in keyword data only. And then I thought the panel might know exactly what data points my client will want to know. They don't want to be taken into the weeds. They just want to know where they are and what they are doing to improve. I wonder whether you'd be generous enough to share with me the types of things I need to report on. Thanks in advance. That's probably the politest question I think we've ever had on office hours.
That is such a polite question,
yeah.
yes.
And I think I'm going to also be watching in the chat for David Sace's comments, because obviously David specializes in SEO and so on for law firms. Okay, who would like to kick off on this one? Ksenia, are you okay starting? Great, go for it.
Yeah, I can start. So what business owners usually are looking at in the SEO reports is how much value they get from this marketing channel in general. So the most important information to share, to my mind, is how much, if you have this information, is how much revenue or how many clients or how many MQLs or registrations or something the business got from organic channel. That's the main point to report in the first place. And then you can go to some more SEO related data, such as traffic, such as improvement of positions for some keywords, such as some technical SEO improvements, and so on. So like first things, you need to report on business metrics, which any person in the business will understand. And then down more further in the report, you can go into details and more geeky SEO stuff. That's how I usually do it.
Amazing. Shelley, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, Ksenia's already touched on there, which is probably the most important thing, which is tying to business outcomes. I'll just talk through my process a little bit. I've constructed a dashboard in Sheets where I actually pull in data from different points, and I find it really helpful to see it all in one line. So I will have the URL, and I can then very quickly then see the information right across: impressions, clicks, page views, conversions. For SEJ, I actually do also pull 30 days, first 30 days of traffic, which is interesting as well, to actually see that as a comparison. It's a metric that we have to hack together to get that. And then you can actually compare with articles, how they're doing in the first 30 days, and you can give them a direct comparison, whereas that's which I've found is the best way with contributors articles, which do best on page views. But with that information, really what is key and that you're really focusing on, as Ksenia said, it's your main conversion. And if you want to tie that to a business outcome, this will probably be different for every client. What I've had some success with, obviously I've got clients across a variety of verticals, but what I usually look at is things like signups. So when we're creating content, we will construct this around a specific outcome, which is usually leading to downloads of gated pieces of content, which are very popular, or it can be ups for appointment forms for sales leads. And then originally, obviously, SEJ was very much programmatic based. So we were really focused on traffic, and traffic really did matter. But we're moving, obviously, with the whole shift in publishers, which are now moving away from programmatic. We're now looking specifically at products and more signups. So we're constructing our strategy in a completely different way. So it's been quite interesting working across these different verticals, to the comparison of like one being programmatic, one being product based, one being very much kind of lead generated. But what I would say is, yeah, absolutely talk to your client and really understand as to what their outcome and what they want. I think one of the best reports that I ever put forward to a client was when I could demonstrate to them at year end, what the work that I have done is directly attributed to 1.8 million of revenue. And that was a really strong selling point. Straight away, you're getting people's attention when you say that. So particularly if you're pitching to CMOs and C-suite level, what they want to hear is they want to hear how the work that you're doing is directly attributed to their bottom line. But also, it can also bring up insights into where they can improve their business as well. I don't know with Ksenia if you've had the same, but often when I speak to clients, you tend to be as much a advisor on business as well as much as you are about SEO. It's not just about SEO. And I think a really good SEO is somebody who is helping somebody improve their business, because ultimately that's what you're doing. So I would say don't just report on clicks, page views, or ranking. That doesn't give information to somebody who is non-digital. What you want to do is tie your metrics to something that really matters. We've actually just published a really good article on SEJ, funnily enough. Dan Taylor, who writes an excellent column for us, he's just published Telling Better Stories with SEO Data to Show Business Impact. So definitely check that out, and that could really help you. But yeah, long answer. Short version is tie it to business outcomes. What is really important as well is also be looking at LLMs now as well. We're fragmenting across many different channels now. So we're not just focusing on what's coming from Google anymore. Google is not diminishing, but you've got other channels, you've got LLMs, you've got Reddit, you've got TikTok. You need to be looking at all of them across, which is why it would help if you start with a business outcome, work back from that, and demonstrate your visibility increase.
Amazing.
I just want to add
Please
one
do.
small thing here, because nearly half of the clients and businesses I spoke to during the last year didn't have the conversion tracking on page level on their websites. So that's probably the first thing you want to do with a new client, is to set it up, because it will let you do much more quality reporting afterwards, because that will help you justify the efforts and justify like why you're working on blog or why you're working on this site section and not working on that site section. So that's definitely something you want to have from the beginning.
Amazing. Joe, do you have anything to add?
No, that was a lot of information. It was great. Thank you. We just have some questions in the chat, but I'll let you add anything before. No, we have some comments in the chat, but I'll let you add before I go through those comments.
So I agree with what everybody said so far. I think the only things that I would add on top of that is I like to use SEO Stack, which is a tool that's built on top of Google Search Console. And you can create these kind of custom filters. So rather than each time you go into Search Console, you have to go and add regex or whatever, you can build filter on top of filter and save them and kind of flick through. And something that I like to do is, rather than just present the same information each time I do a reporting meeting, I try and look for the things that are different or the things that are interesting, whether that's good or bad. And I think those custom filters that you can do, where straight away, if you split up your data by branded and non-branded, and then by parts of the website and so on, you can very quickly understand what's going on with the site. And then on top of that, it depends on how big this client is. I think they said it's quite a small client, but if you have time, maybe also just share a little bit of information about what competitors are doing. So if there's been any movement there, maybe somebody's launched a new website or something like that, or there's been some sort of movement. I like digging into what they've done. And then lastly, in the sort of wider marketplace, or even just in SEO in general, if there's something like a core update happening or anything like that, I like to share just some information that's happening in the industry. I find that quite useful for those sort of reports to create interesting discussions. Joe, is there anything in the chat that you'd like to run through?
Yes, we do. So very good answers that everyone's shared so far. Thank you for that. Simon has said that he would pull the data from Google Search Console and GA4 into a Looker Studio dashboard. The first page should be a high-level report for the execs, the executive suite, and then build the report pages with more details for you, the webmaster, for people that are working on this as a day-to-day part of the business. And really, I've done this as well, and it's been really great, actually. Looker Studio is fantastic once you can understand the ins and outs of it. Rob has also said plus for this. Yeah, I 100% agree for Looker Studio. It can be basic, but looks fancy straight out of the box. I actually think if you think it looks too basic, you can always do a bit more formatting, but you can always ask a freelancer to help you. There's a lot of people that do GA4 reporting in the community and can help you with that. Lead said that you should also ask your client about objectives before and what they want to achieve from you, because that's quite a good point, because there's lots of different elements of the marketing, and people may think sometimes that SEO, you're doing sort of everything. So I'd really be clear on that. Says to keep it simple, just the key traffic trends from GA4, top search queries and rankings from GSE. A quick summary of what's been done. That's always really good to see. What's been done, what's coming next. So you can add some insight to that data. And what he said is give them a clear sense of progress without getting into the weeds. So that's great. And Simon also added that if there's any spikes in visits, explain what caused that, dig in and find out why you get these spikes. It could be something in the press, something that's come out, or it could also be seasonality. It could be nothing to do with actually your website. So make sure that you're aware of what's going on that could impact you. You could always use a third-party tool as well to see in that same field, have they seen spikes in traffic or drops? It's always good to compare yourself against competitors in this case. And that's it. Wow, that's a lot. 20 minutes and we just did one question.
I know. It was a vague question though, wasn't it? So it made sense.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Rob said, what is the measure of success for a good divorce lawyer? Yes, this is a good question. Is it alimony gained? Mother-in-law's lost? Rob. I'm not sure how I'd graph that. Yes, I think I haven't been divorced, so I can't really comment. So we'll just leave that to the divorce lawyer to see what is classified as a good lawyer.
Yeah. Can you imagine Google Trends searches for divorces go down and they're like, damn, this is awful. We need more divorces. Okay, next question. So this is actually a follow-on from last week. And for those of you that weren't here, there was somebody that basically asked the question around their knowledge panel. Basically, there was a fake Google My Business profile set up, and it was for an online only business. And basically, there was this profile set up in their brand name in a place in Germany. And the question that we had last week was, how do we get rid of that? And obviously the answers were so amazing, because the follow-up question is, appreciate the help with the fake GMB profile. It's gone. Great work, great result, flying it. We now want to shift focus to securing the knowledge panel for our brand to prevent this sort of impersonation happening again. We're online only, so can't set up a GMB. What do you think? So we're looking at the other side now. So what sort of positive signals can they give as a brand so that they can start securing more of those features? Who would like to kick off on this one?
Okay, Shelley, go for it. Yeah.
Go for it. Shelley, you go first. Go for it.
I've actually got a bit of an interesting story, because I've had a little bit of a fight with my own personal knowledge panel, Shelley Walsh. In the UK, there is a village, unbelievably, called Shelley Walsh, which is just one letter difference. Now, I've had knowledge panels are mercurial, right? I've been in and out of this knowledge panel so many times. And I'm just currently in a bit of a fight with Shelley Walsh has a hill climbing club, which are like a motorsports. And we keep switching and dominating for my own name. The one thing that I can say that obviously will instantly get a knowledge panel is if you can get included in Wikipedia or Wikidata, that is the surefire straight way that you will get in there. If you can't do that, for many of us mere mortals, it's quite a difficult thing to do. It's going to be a combination of quite a lot of hard work to get it to stick. Now, as I said, they are mercurial. They do change all the time. But if you look at other knowledge panels, you will pick up and you will see where the knowledge panel is actually pulling data from. And this can help you specifically in your vertical, or other people, competitors, you might be able to see Like, for example, if you look at Kevin Indig, who I mentioned earlier, you'll notice that his knowledge panel is actually pulling from his SEJ author page. My knowledge panel, when I had it, was pulling from SEJ as well. That was a positive signal. I checked it the other day. I've lost it at the moment. I say it's in and out. I had it a few weeks ago. At the moment, it's not there. It's Shelley Walsh, which I just complained about with Google this morning. If you look at Rand Fishkin, his knowledge panel pulls from Google Books. So another really good way to actually get your panel is to write a book, become an authority on a subject. It's basically you need to get placement on an authority website that Google trusts to pull through. Historically, that's been things like Crunchbase, as I say, Wikipedia, but Google Books, or maybe another contributing to a authority media outlet. And also, you want to construct your own About Us page on your site as a central hub. Obviously, whether you're approaching this as a person or a brand, and then on your About Us hub, use that as a place that links out to all these other authority places that reinforces. You want to seek reinforcement as much as possible for your brand. Short answer is Wikipedia. If you can get in Wikipedia, you're 100% guaranteed to get a knowledge panel. Otherwise, you need to do a lot of hard work to promote your brand and get placements on other authority sites that Google will pull from.
Amazing. Ksenia, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, Wikipedia is really great advice because the majority of knowledge panels which I see are triggered from Wikipedia results. And the only thing is to be really careful if you create the Wikipedia page for yourself, because I've seen cases when self-created pages were considered and flagged promotional and Wikipedia moderation deleted them. And then it was really hard to get this brand or business back on Wikipedia. So like on one of my projects, it took, I think, 2 or 3 years to do a couple of tries to get into Wikipedia by ourselves. And then eventually we asked some Wikipedia consultant with the really nice profile with a lot of existing posts to create the page for us, because anything that we did ourselves was flagged and banned, though it wasn't anything too promotional, really. That was just clear facts about the company, but still it was deleted. So be really careful with that. And it's not that easy as it seems from the first sight. Also about Google My Business, I know that there is a feature to create the listing, but to hide your actual address from the map. So if you're limited, if your business is located in one country, I get that it's online, but if it's in one country and you have an office somewhere in some city, you still can create the listing, but hide the full address. So you're just going to show somewhere in some city, not on some exact street or house or something. It can work. I know it's not exactly along the guidelines of Google My Business because they want only offline businesses to be listed, but still it can work. I've seen such listings for some companies that they've existed and no one deleted them as well.
Amazing. Joe, do you have anything to add?
No, that's great advice. I didn't next to a Wikipedia page, but I just wanted to mention what Emma Jane said in the chat. She says writing Wikipedia or writing a book, you could write an alumni post for the university you attended. It's a good point. And also just back to the uni point, it's always great if you can get that they're still very authoritative to get a link from that. So, but it goes back to the community. If you are an active part of their community, and depending on their website as in what they do, it would be good to make sure that you keep that profile updated.
Amazing. It's good. Congratulations for getting that fake listing removed. That's awesome. I think I agree with everybody's advice here, especially getting yourself covered in some authoritative sites. I think getting your brand out there more can really help. And then the only other thing I would add is if you're not already using something like schema markup to basically connect yourself to or associate yourself with, for instance, if you've got big social profiles, you can use the same as, and you can do the same thing if you've been covered in different places. And if you've got like a parent company or you've got information about the company, there are ways of providing that information through structured data. Joe, have we got anything in the chat?
Yeah, Mama said as well about add schema markup, add it to your site, will get mentioned in a trusted publication, having a solid presence on sites like LinkedIn, Crunchbase. And also Rob said that, yeah, Google My Business service area is an option, but he appreciates that maybe it doesn't fit the circumstances of the person asking the question this time.
Amazing. Okay, next question. I think this will be a pretty quick one to answer, I think. Can I please ask, am I right to think that SEOs rarely get involved in managing your clients' websites directly? I generally do this for a small client. To be clear, I don't do big tech design updates, but I'm uploading and formatting blogs, building internal links, meta tagging, H2ing, etc. Am I right to think that this setup is relatively unusual and that you don't all do this? Appreciate your help. Shelley, are you okay to kick off on this one?
Yeah, it's a very short answer. No, it's not unusual. When I used to do smaller clients, I would very often be doing a lot of work on their website as well, or even doing their website for them. Now that I only work with really large clients, I'm still quite heavily involved at the moment. I'm working with a client on a site migration, advising them. So I'm starting quite heavily involved in advice stage, but not actually doing the website. But no, it's not unusual at all. I think it's a very usual hand-in-hand service.
Amazing. Ksenia, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, it all depends on the package basically and what kind of agreement you have with the client. If they don't have any person who can do this uploading and posting on their site, you can totally do it on your site as well for some additional fee. And I've seen cases of such cooperation that was totally fine. If you're expanding your consultancy, right, and you have someone to help, you can have some, if you have such not just one project, but several projects which need help with posting and editing things on the website, you can have some junior or entry-level marketer or student helping you with this, but still it can work. It's not unusual at all.
Great. Joe, anything to add?
No, not anything else to add. I think everyone's added it. So we've got
Yeah.
loads of questions, so happy to
Oh,
go to next
Go,
one.
I
go
was
for
just
it,
going to say
Shelley.
really quickly, actually, just as another follow-up point is it can actually be really useful to manage the site as well. It can really help you to make sure that technically it's all set up properly, etc. So it can actually be a real bonus because a lot of problems can occur when you're working with a client where you're shut out of a lot of their back end and it can be a bit of a fight with their internal team. So yeah, it's definitely a bonus and I think it makes it much easier when you're working with smaller clients and you're doing everything for sure.
Yeah, I would just add that it's not unusual at all. I think the way we work is I'll do whatever the client wants to basically get it done. So if they've got the capabilities and stuff in house and they take what we recommend from documents or presentations or whatever, then that's fine. But if they don't have that, I'll jump into their CMS and make those changes for them. Most companies like me, we work on a day rate. So uploading a blog post might take an extra 10, 15 minutes or something for like uploading and testing and so on. But yeah, I don't think it's unusual. Some clients don't want you anywhere near their CMS, particularly for certain industries like finance or maybe law and so on. But yeah, I personally don't think it's unusual. Joe, is there anything in the chat?
There is something to
Hey.
chat, Jack saying it. To quote Tom Jones, it's not unusual to get progress. Simon says that it depends if you're really a webmaster doing the SEO like him or really an SEO just sorting out and being a project manager. Jordan's always said it's good to get under the bonnet, and Simon's right in there with the joke, even when it's not Easter. Always on with the joke, Simon. Very good. I just wanted to say thank you everyone for joining us today on our 69th episode, and also those that are watching the recording. I'm sure everyone's enjoying the SEO's office hours. So click a like on the YouTube video and also subscribe to our channel. We've got quite a few people subscribed now, which is great. And we've got 24 people today and has joined us. So thank you, everyone. We've got quite a few regular people attending the show and wanted to give a shout out to you for always being on the show. We've got Simon, Steve comes regularly, David, Rob, Jack, Gossip Mark's been coming quite regularly. Jordan, our co-host, Gatsy, has been coming a lot. Umar, Deepak. We've also have Albert's coming here a lot. Sporan, Uxer, Sharia, and Anatolia has been here a few times. Thank you very much, Ian and Jeremiah as well, and Walid. So yeah, I wouldn't be able to record and continue with this SEO office hours if it wasn't for our regular attendees. So thank you all for the support. We'll be continuing to do this going forwards. So we don't have any plans to stop at the moment.
No, although I won't be here next week. We've got another special host, which is Simon Cox. I'm really excited about that. I'll be here in the audience. Really enjoyed it from that perspective last week. So it'll be Joe and Simon next week, and we'll have two special guests. Okay, next question. Does blocking foreign country IP traffic to my site hurt my SEO Google rankings? Who would like to kick off on this one? Ksenia, are you okay
You can
to start?
start.
Go for it.
Yeah, I can start. It all depends on the amount of traffic you get from the country you want to block, because obviously, if you get more than 50% of traffic from this country and now you're going to block it, the general traffic of your website will drop, and Google can see it as a drop of behavioral factors as well. So I definitely wouldn't block anything that's more than, I don't know, 5 or 10% of your total traffic on the website. I've seen some clients asking about deleting the full language version for some country or for some language. For example, they stopped to offer services in France and then they said, okay, we'll just remove the French localization. And that thing would hurt SEO more because that you're basically losing a big percentage of your content. So that's definitely something I wouldn't recommend doing, like deleting the language version from the website. But blocking some country for the reasons, I don't know, if you get much spam from it and it's not some important country for a business and you didn't have a big share of traffic from it before, I don't think there is a problem.
Amazing. Joe, do you have anything to add?
I would say I would actually find out why would you want to block the traffic. There are sometimes, like for example, when I try to go on a site, it's a US site, and then it actually says you're not allowed to buy from us, or you're not allowed, you're without. It has a different message. I can't remember it exactly, but it basically means I can't actually purchase from that site or can't watch a video. Like I couldn't access HBO without going through I wouldn't recommend doing that. What I would say is you could say on your website, oh, we only deliver to the US, or we only deliver within the UK, or we only deliver within Australia, for example. I wouldn't necessarily block someone who is visiting from outside of those countries.
Amazing. Shelley, do you have anything to add?
Probably not. The only thing, it's a little bit tangential to the actual question, but I would just say that on multilingual, say, for example, if you're translating content across different countries, then be very careful how you do that. Don't just use a translation tool. I would use a local translation to make sure that's done properly. And I wouldn't do a direct translation either. I would make sure I'm getting unique content for each country and with specific nuances for that region, something that's often overlooked. Probably not answering the question directly there, but that's what I'd add.
Amazing. I don't think, obviously, the advice that everybody's given is amazing. And I think what Ksenia said about if you get traffic and if you rely on that country, you probably don't want to block it. I'm personally not a huge fan of IP redirects. And I've had clients before where that's been a bit of a pain. And where I've come into real issues or I've seen real issues with this isn't necessarily from a country perspective, but more from specific states or regions, because I think that can be really confusing because obviously Google usually crawls from California if it's the US, but can crawl from wherever. And if you're constantly giving those mixed signals of the website's here and then it's not here, that can be a bit of a nightmare. Joe, do we have anything in the chat?
Rob said that he's seen it really a lot with the US websites. What are they hiding over there? Simon said geo redirect to put the user on the country page that they're actually in can also, I think, maybe annoy Google. So let the user decide with the drop down. Yeah, I find it annoying when people do that. Just allow them to do that. Allow users. If you block the US, you will block Google crawlers. And Jordan saying explore other options like the capture to reduce the spam instead of blocking. So yeah, some good tips there, but really, I find this a lot with the US sites and actually with some Australian sites too. I don't know why you can't just say, oh, we only deliver within to the US or to Australia.
Yeah, so Rob's just asked a question about are they trying to block people or bots? And I think the person that's submitted the question directly messaged to me that blocking other countries to prevent spam. So I think they must be getting lots of spam traffic, and that's the idea, is to prevent that. Okay, does anybody else have anything to add on this question? No? Okay,
No.
great.
Actually, Mark said, I think it's because of the cookie laws of the US that they'll block EU, UK. They can't be bothered to comply, he said.
Okay, great. Next question. Okay, so we're pretty good at getting our business in front of people, but turning that interest into actual purchases is the problem. That's taking a lot more effort and patience than we'd like. What's the secret to nudging customers down that funnel? Shelley, are you okay to start on this one?
Yeah, sure. Oh my God. It's difficult to know where to start with this one, really. I think, first of all, actually making sure that you're targeting the right audience is the first thing you should be looking at. So making sure that you're just not getting a lot of traffic that is irrelevant. And you need to have a really good user journey on your site and leading through. It's obviously going to be difficult. It doesn't say what vertical this is in. Does it say if this is an e-commerce site or no? Yeah, it would very much depend on, it's going to be different for every different business model, really. So to bring in the whole classic of it depends, but ensuring that you've got a really strong user journey so that you're drawing people through the site and people aren't just landing on a page and then they don't know where to go or what to do next, which I do see that more often than I don't. So it's a bit of a difficult one to answer this, really, because it's such a broad, but yeah, I would say really focus on making sure that you're actually targeting the right audience in the first place and then answering their questions as well. At every point in that journey, you really want to make sure that you're providing the information that will be relevant at that point, which is going to help guide them through.
Amazing. Ksenia, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. The simple answer to this question is content marketing, which opens a really huge series of lectures about how it can be done depending on the business and on the KPIs and everything. So generally, I usually try to focus on two directions of work in this case. The first direction is conversion rate optimization on the website at once. So like when the audience gets to the website, we should do as much as we can to try to convert them at least to the first step of user journey. For example, to download something, to sign up, to leave the email, to leave something that we can work afterwards. That's one of the things. It can be done with the banners, with some pop-ups, with some different offers and lead magnets inside content. So there are different mechanics for that. And the second thing is to work with the audience which already gave us their email, but didn't convert to the customers yet. So then email marketing comes to the stage, actually. And there's usually a person like a marketer or email marketer who plans email newsletters to this category of people with some news, with some piece of new content, with some videos, with product updates, with some discounts maybe, and tries but by this trying to convert these people afterwards. So yeah, like it's normal when only a small amount of people convert at once on the first visit to the website, and you can do much more work to convert the rest. So
Amazing. Joe, do you have anything to add?
No, that's all really. I think the only maybe point to add would be maybe it depends on how much is your price of entry, because maybe you might need a lot of touch points. If it's an expensive product, they may need to be informed many times about what the benefits are. So maybe you're doing events, you can promote it there. Maybe you might have some webinars that you're doing, you can promote it there. Maybe email marketing as well. Of course, if it's a low price of entry and doesn't need a lot of touch points, that may be the reason that other maybe competitors are getting more signups. So you could also look to see if you can give them studies, if you can give them added value, maybe you've got extra training, that might help to move the needle to get a sign up or to get that conversion. So perhaps look at mini conversions as well, or micro conversions first, like downloads, people signing up to any webinars that you're taking place before you're actually looking to have the main conversion, as in getting them across that sales line.
Amazing. I'd probably be getting people on the website, but then they're not doing what you want. I think I would probably start with analytics and just work out maybe there's a particular device or something like that where they're having issues. I've done loads of testing and so on, and actually it's not been that. It's been things like although this isn't SEO, coming through from Facebook, in Facebook browser, for example, hasn't worked. So it could be as really simple as some sort of technical issue. So I would work through analytics and see if there's a particular segment that isn't doing what you want. And then I think what Ksenia said about this being more of a CRO issue, I would go through, I would for a start do some user testing. I'd watch people on something like Hotjar, Full Story, Microsoft Clarity, just watch them on your website and see where they're stopping, what they're doing, and try and understand where there are hesitations or anything like that. Something that's worked quite well for me in the past is if you have a particular page where you're seeing big drop-offs, just have it, and you can do this via something like Hotjar, where you just ask people a question. What were you looking for? What questions couldn't you find the answer to on this page? Like simple things like that, just to find out what people were actually looking for and what you haven't done. Potentially, what has also worked really well is people that have just inquired or bought from you, maybe surveying them and trying to find out what almost stopped them from buying from you. You don't need to do thousands of that. You would find after just a couple of hundred that you'll get an idea and incentivize them with like coffee vouchers or something like that can be quite useful. And then once you get some data, I would then do A/B testing and try and create a better journey and try and get more people to buy or register or whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So I think personally it's more of a CRO issue because it sounds like you're getting users there. However, I think people that do CRO often don't understand SEO. So it's good that you're coming into it from an SEO perspective because you can easily make changes and then impact things like rankings and so on. So it's good to have that kind of understanding of both. Joe, do we have anything in the chat?
Sorry, some eyes watching. Yes, we do. Jordan saying that on the back of your point, it's also possible to do page path exploration in GA4. Yes. That's really good. Rob said that we need to know what the current numbers are and match them to industry benchmarks. So this could be an e-commerce site converting at 4%, which the owner thinks is low, but actually is twice the average. That's a very good point, Rob. And Waleed saying, try to give your audience some offers or discounts. They might need to improve the CTAs and maybe make it more personalized as well. Mama saying, make sure your CTAs are obvious and there's a benefit to it. Give people reasons to trust you. He also talks about doing follow-ups like the emails on this. And of course, Simon's always there with a great joke. Make your product better. I'd add those call to actions to get them down the funnel. Have a look to see where people drop off in the journey. And I don't think you can do this, Simon, but he said disable that back button.
Just don't let them go anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can do things like when people want to leave, you can create pop-ups and stuff. And that's where you could ask the question about why are you leaving and try and incentivize them to find out. I'm actually working on a new service at the moment for one of my clients, and the whole thing is totally new to them. And one of the things that I've been doing is I've gone through tons and tons of reviews from similar businesses that already offer that particular service. And I'm just trying to find out what people really love about it. And I'm using that basically for things like the value proposition of the site and conversion boosters and some of the content, just to make sure for a start that their product actually covers what these people want, but making sure I'm highlighting those things. So with this particular question, you could do the same thing where you actually just look at competitors' websites and maybe their reviews and just understand maybe what people really like about them and possibly what you're missing. Okay, we have 10 minutes left and we have our regular question, but I think I'm going to try and fit one in if that's all right. One more in. We've got so many. Okay, we'll go for this one. A travel site offers country-specific versions, but Google sometimes serves the wrong country content for users, leading to bad UX and high bounce rates. The issue now is how should multilingual UX be handled without confusing crawlers? And also, how do UX elements like region switchers, cookie banners, and geo redirects impact SEO? Ksenia, are you okay starting with this one?
Yeah, I've had some issues to solve in this area before. So basically, there are a couple of things which can go wrong. The first thing is the wrong setup of canonical text. That's obvious, but still I need to mention it because that's the first thing that confuses the crawler and leads to showing the incorrect language version in the wrong country. So canonical text is something to check first. Then when Google crawls your website, there is an accept language parameter which Google requests from your website, and your website needs to give some answer to it. I've had a bug on one of my websites, which with this accept language parameter not working correctly. So basically, our website didn't react on this request in any way. And for this reason, language versions were not showed in any country, just the English version was showed everywhere. And despite we had canonical text and everything, the setup was well, just this accept language parameter wasn't working correctly. So that's the second thing to check. And the third thing, which is really not obvious, and again, this is a bit against the guidelines, but we've had canonical text set up correctly and all this except language, everything was working fine. But still, Google didn't index language versions. What helped us was to mirror canonical text in the HTTP header, to double it, right? We had it in code, and we set up additional canonical text in HTTP header. Google doesn't recommend doing it. He recommends doing just one of the options, but we did two, and it fixed the problem. So basically, for some reason, canonical text in HTML code were not interpreted correctly, but the canonical text in HTTP header solved the issue. So that's the third things to try. That's three things which came to top of my mind, but of course there can be many more. For example, if your localization isn't complete and you have parts of texts in incorrect language on the page, it also confuses Google a lot. And for example, if your page says it's German, but part of the text is in English, then it can show wrong results as well. So, but I would start with checking these three factors which I mentioned.
Amazing. Shelley, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm going to say multilingual, multi-location. It's not an area that I have any specialism in, so I will completely defer to everything that Ksenia said.
Yes. Joe, do you have anything to add?
No, nothing else to add, only something from the chat.
Okay, go for the chat. That's fine.
Google uses the HTML lang parameter for the translation tool. Without the code, the tool would not work. So this is from Simon Cox. So maybe Simon, if you want to expand on that a little bit, that'd be great. Basically, I don't have anything else to add. Simon shared that about using the HTML lang parameter for the translation tool. So use that. But really, when you're doing this type of multilingual or multi-site work, make sure that you have got an expert there that you can actually work with, because yeah, it can be very difficult.
Yeah, I was going to say anything href lang tags. I've seen lots of setups where they haven't been right. And I think making sure if SEO isn't your thing, getting somebody in even just to help with that particular setup is really important. But most CMSs have some sort of built-in application or plugin that can really help you with managing this sort of situation. So yeah, I think because you haven't given us a URL, I think you just need to pull in some sort of SEO expert to help look at your configuration, because obviously something's not right at the moment if it's serving the wrong content to the wrong users, causing high bounce rates. Great. Okay, let's go to our regular question.
I just want to actually just point out what just Mark mentioned in the chat. He just said, I love it when he sees confident speakers like Shelley can say, not my expert area, and they move on quickly rather than making up some soup answer. Yes, big respect to Shelley. Wish more people would like to do this, and obviously Shelley's come back on that point. Yeah, because I think, as you said, Shelley, many people feel they have to answer a question.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think for years and years,
don't need to do that.
When you're not quite as confident, you think, oh my God, I really have to say something, because if I don't, everybody's going to think I'm an idiot. And the amount of times I've blustered through an answer and given a terrible answer on something I know nothing about. And now I realize, actually, I know enough in my areas that I'm confident to say, yeah, that's not my area. I'm an expert in this area, but I'm not even going to try and pretend. So yeah, I think for anybody else out there, don't try and pretend. You don't need to. You're good enough at what you do. So yeah, thank you. I really appreciate Mark for saying that, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Amazing. Okay, final question just before we finish for the day. What are you most excited about in terms of SEO? Shelley, why don't we start with you? What are you most excited about in terms of SEO at the moment?
Oh, God, right. I'll try to be really quick because this is such a huge question. And I'm actually really excited. I know it's like catastrophic out there right now. And it's like the sky's been falling down. There's been so much changes with the introduction of AIO in what was it, November 23. The whole world changed and it's just been mental ever since. But also wrapped up with that, the amount of updates that Google has kept throwing at us, it's like SEO has completely imploded. And I am actually really excited about this because I feel it takes us back now. Don't go wrong. I wasn't there 25 years ago doing SEO, but I know quite a lot about how SEO was done 25 years ago. And I think we're running parallels at the moment to the beginning of the industry, because I think we're at the start now of a potentially very exciting time where things are changing. I'm also really excited because SEO now is becoming much more about marketing, and SEO is fragmenting, and you're looking at diversifying across different channels. Like I said before, Reddit, TikTok, LMs, Google. You've got to be looking at your strategy across all of these and tying it together and looking at a holistic marketing strategy that targets visibility for your target audience. And I do believe that I think there's probably a lot of SEOs out there that might not be able to do this moving forward. And I think there's going to be a real watershed in the next few years. But I'm very excited for me personally, because I think it brings together a lot of my skill set. And I've been talking about this for the last 15 years of think more about brand, think more about actual marketing and being holistic and strategy and creativity. So I'm massively excited about what's happening. Just from a purely selfish view of it, really falls right within my area of expertise.
Amazing. Ksenia, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO?
Yeah, the most exciting part to me is that it's really different and it changes. I'm really bad at doing monotonous work for years, and SEO has never been the same for more than 1 year. There's always something new to learn, something new to do. And there are many things within SEO to switch between. For example, if I am bored with like doing some sort of work for some sort of websites, I can do something else. I can teach courses, I can mentor people, I can do, I don't know, local SEO, then switch to international SEO, then to, I don't know, AI optimization is a really huge new thing that's coming up now. So it keeps me alive and it keeps me learning without actually changing my domain completely. So yeah, we'll see what comes next.
Amazing. And Joe, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO at the moment?
I'm always excited about events. I'm just sharing a few things that took place last week. So we had Search Africon, May 2nd and 3rd, run by Bear Jonathan. We also had SEO Week last week, April 28th to May 1st, run by Mike King. And of course, the EU Search Awards, they were last night, May 8th in Poland. Loads of award winners, including some people that have come on the show. They won awards. And also the Search Engine Land Awards. I was Search Engine Marketer of the Year last year. There's an early bird special that finishes May 23rd, and check it out. It was great to be a winner of this award. Lots of things happening this week. And also, Shelley has a great show coming out on Monday, in my humble opinion.
Amazing.
On YouTube, Shelley just shared it now. Her show there, I Am HR with Kevin on Monday.
Amazing. I'm excited next week to be in the audience. As I mentioned before, Simon Cox will be hosting next week alongside Joe. So that's going to be incredible. Thank you so much to everybody that joined us live. Thank you to those watching afterwards on YouTube. Thank you so much to our special guests, Ksenia and Shelley. Thank you, Joe, for co-hosting. Like always, an amazing job, even with whatever's going on with your eye at the moment. You've done such a great job. And thank you to those that submitted the questions. We'll see you next week. Have a
See you
lovely
next
weekend.
week.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.